Thank you very much for all come here to watch this movie, and thank you so much Japan Film Society and World Film Festival to giving us this opportunity. The situation in Iraq, Syria is really serious, and President Obama and Japanese Prime Minister show new foreign policies. So I have really special feeling to show this movie in the United States at this moment, at this time. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. So my first question would be how I can see this is a very personal work. It seemed to me a very personal. How did you get to make this movie? What was your first? Why did you come to get this movie?
ここから日本語で言います。私が高校3年生の時にイラク戦争が始まって、でやっぱり高校生ながらその戦争が始まるということがとても衝撃というかショックでした。それでこういうふうにデモに参加したりもしてたんですけれども、その後にイラク人質事件が起きて、で3人の人たちがすごく批判をされて、でそれを見ている中で私自身もすごく批判をされているというか、そういう気持ちになったんですね。やっぱりその国と違うことがやろうとしていることと違うことをするのは難しいというか簡単ではないというふうに思いましたし、やっぱり政治的な考えだとか主張するっていうのはやっぱり日本ではすごくやりづらい部分もあったりもしましたし、あと一方で私自身もすごく感情だとか思いだけで戦争反対だということを言っていたりしたので、私の知識もなかったし技術も足りていなかったし、そういう反省があったのでずっと私にはありました。それで10年間その思いをどういうふうに抱えて表現したらいいのかわからないまま来ていたんですけれども、この映画を撮るということで次に進みたいなというふうに思って、そういう個人的な思いから始めました。
So she was in third year of high school when the war started, and it was a very shocking experience for her to have a war start during her lifetime. And she saw the way that all of the three, then the Iraq hostage crisis with the three Japanese being kidnapped took place, and she saw the way they were being treated in Japan, and it had a very big effect on her. And she saw, that there's people out there doing things that were different from what the Japanese government was doing, and was in some ways against what people thought the Japanese government was trying to do. And she wanted to take a look at sort of their work. And when she was in high school, she participated in many demonstrations, feeling that the war was wrong, against the war. And it was something that was very personal to her, and wanted to find a way in which she could express that to everyone, and decided to do and make this film in order to express what she had felt during this time.
Thank you. I would have another question before asking the audience here. The situation maybe has changed in Iraq since you shoot this movie, so could you tell us more about the actual situation in Iraq maybe?
アメリカに来るちょうど前に高藤直子さんと日本でお会いしてきました。で彼女はちょうど中東からイラク、ヨルダンから帰ったばかりでした。やっぱりその北部の方は、イスラム国 IS から逃れてくる難民で本当に溢れていて、本当にすごく苦しい状況の難民たちがたくさんいるということを聞きました。で同時に、そのイスラム国からすごく逃れてくる人たちもいる一方で、ファルージャの町では今もイラク軍による空爆が続いているそうです。アメリカ軍に支援を、アメリカ政府に今支援というかサポートを受けている、イラク軍が市民の人たちが被害を受けるような場所で空爆をしているんですね。で私が滞在していた病院も、映画の中に出てくる病院も、空爆を受けたりだとか、あと若いカップルがインタビューを受けているシーンがあると思うんですけれども、あそこの場所ももう爆撃を受けてもうすごく破壊された状況になっている そうです。私がイラクに行けた時期は本当にちょっと隙間というか治安が安定していた時だったんですけれども、今やっぱりすごく状況が厳しくて、でやっぱりテレビとかニュースではスンニ派とシーア派の対立の問題だっていうふうに言われることが多いかと思うんですけれども、本当にそれだけじゃなくて国際社会の関心の問題だとか、やっぱり本当に宗教の問題ではなくて、すごくこういろんな国の関係している国際的な問題だというふうに感じています。
So, there's been news recently about things that are changing in Iraq, and including American policy. Just before coming to the film festival, she had a chance to meet with Takako, who saw in the film, who had just come back from Iraq, and that with the new ISIS or the IS, the Islamic State, coming into power, there's been a lot more fighting around Iraq as well, including in Fallujah, and the hospital that she visited that you saw in the film has been under attack, as well as the young couple that you saw appear in the film as well have been going through a lot of difficult times. And so it's when she had went to Iraq, it was actually just a very downtime in the war itself, and even now it's gotten much more serious and dire situation. She was really lucky to be able to go there when it wasn't as much strife going on in the area. And there's a lot of talk about a problem between the Sunnis and the Shias going on these days, but it's really not just a religious problem. It's really an international problem, and a problem with international relations is something that people need to take a look at.
Thank you. And I would like to pass to ask the audience if someone has a question. Yep.
My name's Tom. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for your film. I was very moved. I'm a refugee from the Vietnam War, and so I was very pleased to see that Imai was inspired when he went to Vietnam and mentioned that children are still being born with birth defects in Vietnam, just like in Fallujah. And I think it's very important for people like Imai and Takado to have their stories told and what you're doing, because these voices against war are often silenced, like what's being happened, and even today. So I'm just very thankful for the work that you do, especially in Japan, where maybe the society has extra culture of obedience towards authority, that what you're doing and what they're doing is even braver. And so I just want to thank you. My question is, Takado is collecting data as well as the doctor about birth defects in Fallujah, and hopefully bring it to the UN for attention. So has there been any work on that, progress in getting more world attention to this problem?
Thank you, Tom. I will just repeat the question for the audience. So thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
So your question is, some data has been gathered from those birth defects children in Iraq, and you wanted to know if there was any progress in this whole data gathering, right?
本当に今日見てくださってありがとうございます。そうですね。レポートは提出したそうなんですけれども、そのさらなる調査は私の知る限りはまだ行われていないそうです。WHO なんかも調査をしたそうなんですけれども、一度聞いた話なんですけれども、調査をした直後にはすごくその化学爆弾と、その1000点以上の子どもたちの関連があるという証拠を得ましたという、そういうインタビューを答えていたそうなんですけれども、その3ヶ月後に発表したレポートではその証拠が見つかりませんでしたという発表していて、なかなかどういうふうに調査が行われているのかとか、すごく分かりづらい部分があるというふうには感じています。お医者さんたちも本当は絶対 関係があるというふうに、レカウラン弾、化学爆弾とその1000点以上の関連があるというふうに思っているけれども、まず調査をするお金もないし、設備もないし、そういうところで一番こう困難を感じていて、本当にイラクの問題だけじゃないというふうに思うので、それはすごく気になっているところです。本当にベトナムの経験からもいろいろ学ばなければいけないこともたくさんあると思うので、いろいろお話聞きたい。
Thank you. She wants to start by thanking everyone for coming to watch the film. As far as she knows, the information has not yet been sent on to the UN, but just a little while after the World Health Organization or WHO had conducted a study into the issue, but a couple of months after the study was submitted, they released something saying that there was no, or they couldn't find proof of a link between the cause of the birth defects with the children and the ongoings during the war. And just found it very difficult. The doctor who was conducting the research was doing it without any money, without any support, and she felt very grateful that she was doing that research and that support. But that it's not really the only problem for Iraq. It's a much larger problem in that there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the Vietnam War. So she would definitely like to hear more about experience.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, another question?
Yes.
Mr. Yeah.
I'd like to know, did you ever consider the fact that if Japan had not so publicly supported America for the war, I think there would have been a lot of right-wing consumer backlash to Japan. The same way that France, I think, tried to criticize America about what happened, I think even during some of the Abu Ghraib or some places like that, and the right-wing Fox News started saying we should have freedom fries instead of French fries, and they started dumping out French wine. Did you ever consider the backlash that would have happened if Japan had suddenly really said, no, we don't support America, we're not supporting the Iraq War, to car manufacturers, to Sony, to games, everything? There's a lot of interdependency, and I don't know if you had talked to the media or some of the body in the Japanese Ministry of Trade. I think they would have had a different sense of reasons why Japan had to support the war as opposed to just the political reasons. Had you ever considered that?
So your question is, what would have been the consequence